The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. From the heart of Broadway in historic downtown Cape Girardeau, this is Pro Wrestling Unscripted.
Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019, and you were tuned in to the hottest wrestling show in Southeast Missouri, localized entirely within the Gaming Ground studio. This is Pro Wrestling Unscripted.
Wow.
Hunter already did the intro, didn't he? Okay, yeah, my bad. I forget that he does
I say we beat the 24/7 rule.
Well, I was gonna say, why are you shitting on my podcast that I've started in the basement? It's pro wrestling based.
What's
it called?
Don't worry about it. If you're gonna no sell me like that, then I'm not.
I want to know what it's called.
I'm not even gonna humor.
I think it's called Pro Wrestling Scripted.
PWS.
My name is Shannon Young, Mr. 100. You may know me from my infomercials. With me tonight, of course, Asa Gray, the 5-star man.
Yes.
Allie just got here from work.
Hello.
And Mr. Porchico.
It's Porkito.
Is that a Studio Ghibli movie? The Big D, Dalton Anthony.
I hate my friends.
No, you don't.
So it's the 1-year anniversary of our first Podzilla wrestling show that we did. And
You say did.
Well, I'd say it was the 1-year anniversary of the poster. We didn't even do the show.
We didn't need to.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of the PZ85 Smash League because Flood came up to me and said, you guys are starting your own wrestling organization.
Was this a year ago?
No, it hadn't have been because I wasn't training. I wasn't training there then. Wait
Yeah.
a minute. No, I was. Flood thought that was a real thing.
So
Yeah.
did Brandon and Jason.
Yeah.
Because they both came. I think Jason said Brandon came to him and was like, "So are they starting their own wrestling thing?" And Jason's like, "I don't know. I mean, good for him." Like, it was one of those. Like, he didn't believe it, but he kind of was worried. I mean, clearly we wouldn't draw a dime, but still, it's nice that he worried. It's good that we can laugh and have fun because we're gonna start the show off with a very, very sad story, a very tragic story, and that is that former WWE star Ashley Massaro passed away last week at age 39, and it's there's not much you can say about it other than it's incredibly sad and tragic. We don't know for sure what happened. There's a lot of rumor and speculation going around about what happened, but I think that hasn't been confirmed, has it?
I don't think. TMZ has been reporting stuff, but that.
Well, I know New York Times also reported it. I saw it on 411, but again, I don't think it's been confirmed.
The initial thing was nothing.
Foul play wasn't suspected.
No criminal.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was like no criminal intent or like no illegal intention or something like that.
Mhm.
But then I was seeing that it was from like that it was a suicide, and then there was people that were saying exactly how it was happening. So it was one of those that I wasn't getting a clear read on exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Well, most of the big publications have reported it as suicide.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that you don't want to believe, but at the same time, it's not hard to believe because we know depression is a killer.
Right.
We know it. One of the things that I found out today was that apparently she wanted to donate her brain for CTE research.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's one of those things that she said she wanted to do, but didn't officially,
Yeah, because the
Sign off on it.
headline that I
Yeah.
saw said that her brain may be donated.
right.
Like it did, so it hadn't been officially decided yet.
Also, it looks like, and I need to look into the validity of it, but a couple of former people that worked with her are like starting up a GoFundMe. For
Yes.
her.
I
that is
I was just about to mention that. Yeah.
Mick Foley tweeted it out, and like they put it together for her because it goes to their goal is to reach $100,000
For a daughter.
The last time I looked, it was at like 9,000. It was like 9,600, I think, and it's going for her daughter's education.
18,000 so far.
Oh wow!
Oh, good.
So
Let's
I looked at it this morning, which that's really great to see, but especially because because Mick Foley donated 5,000. Lillian Garcia's name was attached to a donation of 1,000,
I know,
and then like Kelly, Candice Michelle,
Maria Kanellis, Christy Hemme, Shelly Martinez, Mickey James, Gail Kim, Tori Wilson, like a bunch of people have really pushed for this.
Let's say Christy
They-
had Ashley on her right hand during 205 Live.
Maria,
Who'd I say?
Ashley.
Maria had
Yeah.
Ashley. She wrote it on her hand for 205 Live yesterday. Yeah.
And then like there's that video too, which be somewhere that you're okay with crying.
Oh, I haven't
Because
seen
like
it
a
yet, then.
bunch of the former women's wrestlers and like people who worked with her and friends like filmed a video, and they're all like either had just stopped crying or were about to start crying again. And
don't
it
wanna
was
watch that.
Yeah, it was very, very touching and very, very moving, but it was very rough to watch.
Everything that I've seen, I actually listened to an interview Punk did on, I forget which radio station it was a couple days ago, where he also talked about it being suicide and, you know, really pushed for mental health awareness. And, you know, if you feel alone, there are people you can talk to. It was a really good interview with Punk. He came across very well, and he spoke about how nice she was and how everyone, and that's what I've been seeing too, is everyone saying how positive she was, how incredibly excited she was. And it's just one of those things that, like, what you see isn't always what's there.
Cody Rhodes even mentioned, like, she was the first person to, like, really kind of reach out to him when he joined the main roster.
And I always liked Ashley Massaro. I legitimately did. I'm not just saying this because she passed away. Because I have seen so much criticism of her over the years about how she looked fake. You know, there was all those stupid things that people like to pass judgment on. But I always thought she was interesting. I mean, she had a look that was very unique to herself. I mean, she was memorable.
Yeah, and she wasn't like, she was not the best in-ring performer, but at the same time, it will for always be a part of one of my favorite tag teams in, like, the pivotal years of me really enjoying wrestling, because she was the manager for Kendrick and Paul London. Yeah. And that is just like that entrance. They come out in those masks, they do the backflip, and then they're all three on that rope. Like, that's one thing that's always ingrained in my brain because I was such a SmackDown fan.
It's funny you mentioned that she wasn't the best in-ring performer, because I read an interview where she was critical of WWE for basically she had very little experience before they were putting her out there to wrestle. Like, because she won the Diva Search, if I remember correctly, and they just kind of shoved her out there of like, okay, do something. They
essentially, because I know the interview you're talking about, she's like, they basically taught her the bare minimum fundamentals, and then, okay, you're on the show now.
You're a star.
And they didn't give her anything else, so she had to take it like upon herself to go out and try to, you know, learn the craft more.
WWE did a in memory thing on Money in the Bank, which is nice of them. But at the same time, the more I looked into the history,
the affidavit from the lawsuit, holy shit!
Like, not only injuries and stuff like that, but the sexual assault one. The
two big ones are. I'm explaining.
Okay, good. I didn't know there was a lawsuit.
She was part of that big lawsuit, the big concussion lawsuit that was eventually dismissed. Which then there's reports that she actually reached out and apologized to WWE for taking part of it,
which they themselves put out, which was kind of like,
it's like, no, she was cool with us, everything's great.
Yeah, that felt really dirty.
Yeah, but the two big things from her affidavit included she had a broken wrist or hand or something, so she had a cast, and Vince McMahon ordered it cut off backstage like 4 or 5 weeks before it was supposed to come off, before the doctors wanted it off. And so that happened to her. And then at one of the
was it Kuwait?
I don't remember which one it was, but it was a tribute at one of the Tribute to the Troop shows. She was allegedly, because we have to put that out there, because fuck, she was drugged and sexually assaulted by one of the members of the. They didn't make it clear what part of the armed forces it was, like if it was a soldier, or if it was someone like in administration or something like that. But that happened. She reported it, and Vince very strongly encouraged her to
let it go.
Don't let this one thing ruin such a good publicity.
Yeah. They literally, again, it's important to stress, they didn't tell her not to. They just strongly suggested that she should not report it.
Yeah.
Which she did not.
I'm sure that wouldn't lead to any kind of like mental anguish on anybody.
Yeah, it's, I mean...
No, yeah, it's like reading, like, because you can go and, like, you can read the actual affidavit. Like, someone had posted it on Reddit. If you just Google it, you'll be able to find it.
Didn't Hunter put it in the group chat?
He might have, yeah.
So,
but it's one of those things where it's like I legit got sick to my stomach reading it.
Yep.
And it genuinely, like, has made me... I kind of almost thought about taking this week off. Because, like, of just, like, I don't know if I want to...
Talk about WWE?
Yeah. Like, it's just that it's... I don't know.
No, I get where you're coming from, because after reading it, there was a part of me that didn't want to watch Money in the Bank because at some point, and you know, I saw like Big Lee posted this thing about, you know, if you disagree with the product, don't watch it. There are other options, and he's right. He's 100% right about that. Yeah. And that's not necessarily what I'm tying this into, but it's kind of that same feeling of like after this with her alleged sexual assault and the encouragement to go forward with it, the deal with Saudi Arabia, all of the different things that they have done that are both immoral and disgusting, it's hard to support their product.
Then we just make this agreement right here, right now, that we just want to talk about Double or Nothing tonight?
I mean, because
we're journalists too. That's the hard part. When it comes to journalism, you have to talk about the things that make you uncomfortable. You do. You have to. I mean, we don't have to because we don't get paid for it.
About to say, I was gonna throw that out there, and also one of those like, And I agree. Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong for having those feelings. Those are those are very valid. I'm not discrediting them. But let's celebrate wrestling this week. Let's just say we can mention.
See, and that's
quick
where,
hit
But
it.
there is news.
Well, there's and that's the thing is because it's like that's not a decision we can just make tonight, like live while we're doing the show, because it greatly affects the show. But also at the same time, like it's that shitty situation of go back to Blizzard laying off all those people and you feeling skeevy for playing World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Because the New Day had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
And like AJ Styles didn't have anything to say. Like these people have. Like, so you're punishing everybody for and it's that thing that I did whenever I was which again, like I've eaten crow about it so many times already, but like when I was done after Kevin Owens lost to Cena, and like I didn't watch anything except for I went on YouTube and found like the clips of like only what I genuinely really wanted to see and really cared about.
Yeah.
And like, and then I don't know. It's just it's
hard.
It's hard to do, and like I'm sure. And like if you're someone who can just separate that and be like, no, I'm not giving. Like I props to you because I don't know. I don't know what I want to do yet because I love wrestling more than like anything. And yeah, WWE is the
premier.
It's the premier. It's where you can go to watch it the most consistently, and and also it's the big like if we stopped. I would almost be interested to see like if we stopped talking about WWE entirely,
would we lose the listeners?
What would our numbers look like?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
But it's also the fact that
but at the same time, like, does that make me just as bad because I want to
you're human.
keep our popularity going?
You're human. To me, the way I look at it is more of it. I look at it like I look at Donald Trump, and I'm not trying to get political too much, but like I personally hate hearing stories about Donald Trump. I hate hearing about what he did. I hate talking about him, but at the same time, he is a thing, and it is something that needs to be talked about. So we talk about it. WWE is if we're gonna do a wrestling show, they are wrestling. We have to talk about it. Like if you choose to ignore it and don't do the show anymore, I would support anybody in that decision. But me personally, I want to push forward, and I just want to hold them accountable. Like that's what I want to see. I just wish for one goddamn time somebody would hold someone accountable for something they did. I'm so tired of seeing all of these terrible things that people get away with. And you would think that at some point somebody would say, that's not right. We should look into this. But if you watch politics, if you watch sports, people get away with stuff all the time. I think back to, I don't remember his name. Cody's going to kill me for this. But there was like the football player. I think it was football. Where he like hit his girlfriend or his wife, whatever.
Ray Rice. Wait a minute.
No, Ray Rice killed the guy.
Yeah. No, Ray Rice was the... Ray Rice. No, you're thinking of Ray Lewis.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But yes, he did kill a guy and still was able to play.
Allegedly.
You were...
Allegedly.
Everything's allegedly.
Fair
Everything's
enough.
allegedly.
The one that you're most recently thinking of was Kareem Hunt. That was the one that played for a little bit, and then the Chiefs knew about it the entire time.
No, this was a Ravens player.
Well, then it was Ray Rice.
Because Kareem Hunt also, but he got fired for it. No, Ray Rice was the one who played for the Ravens, who beat the shit out of his girlfriend on camera. NFL saw it, kept him going. That video then got leaked.
Yep.
The public saw it, and that's when they acted.
Right. And I'm sick and tired of reactionary punishment as opposed to, I don't know the right word for it. Like,
that kind of goes back to whenever Asa explained the Pro Jared thing to me 2 weeks ago or last week or whatever. And he said like, yeah, no, so it was Rooster Teeth.
Normal boots.
No, normal boots.
Yeah.
Normal boots they made a statement now that it's kind of gotten out, and I was like, well, that's pretty convenient. He's like, no, apparently they've been under investigate, like they were investigating it for like a month, and now they've just happened to make they're like, oh, well, here it is. So I was like, no. At least they were actionary, not reactionary.
Because like they even said like in their statement, it's like, hey, we got this email like a month ago, and we brought it up to our lawyer. Our lawyer is the only person who knew about it other than Jared himself. He was aware that that relationship was already in the process of ending. And now that it's gone public, they needed to get out ahead of it, let them know that, hey, no, we are acting on this.
Yeah.
Whereas this was very much like, hey, bad player.
In public.
Just keep going play. Now you just go play. Oh, now everyone saw the heinousness of what you did. Oh, yeah, no, we want no part of you. We're getting
And that's,
bad.
that's kind of what, and I know this is a sore subject, but that's kind of what irritated me about the whole Enzo thing, was that there were, instead of them covering this one up and going like, oh, well, we'll wait till something comes out to bury him, they immediately just fired him without anything. They're just like, no, your name is in the press. But then there are other people like Lars Sullivan who have done terrible things that because they see money in him, they're like, well, we'll protect you as
I'm
best we
willing.
can.
You're arguing two different things though.
No, I think there's a difference because like the Lars Sullivan thing they were aware of. Like they knew Lars Sullivan had said these things like that. He had apparently like made that clear and apologized. Enzo, they were blindsided by it. Enzo was aware. Apparently, Enzo was aware that these allegations were out there and the investigation was
unless
happening.
you ask Enzo to which he said he found out the same time.
I mean, that
Right.
whole thing
But
is so muddy.
But if it's weird. But so like, but the story was, the narrative was, whether it's true or not, was Enzo was aware before WWE. He did not bring it to WWE's attention. Then it hit mainstream press, and that's why they fired him. Is because
it hit mainstream.
if they had, if he had approached them, they may have been able to help cover it up.
What about Hogan? Were they aware of the Hogan tape before it came out, or was that blindsiding too?
I'm assuming that
say
was
blindsiding.
blindsided because Hogan didn't know about the tape.
I guess that's true. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But all of this said, and I think there's something to be said about I choose not to watch this show anymore because of the actions that they've done. Mm-hmm. But that should not take away at all from the sadness and tragedy that this extremely young 39-year-old woman who is gone.
And someone on like Twitter or Reddit or something brought up a really good point of like social media is so weird. And things like this, because literally the day before she was tweeting, like she had just signed she had just read and responded to a bunch of fan mail and was looking forward to like getting back into wrestling again. And
because she was going to StarCast,
yeah,
like she was going to be a part of that,
mm-hmm.
and then she was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Chester Bennington, it's
Anthony
like
Bourdain,
Chris Cornell,
so many like countless people.
Yeah, that they tweet out how happy they are and look how great things are, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I would like to. I wish I had the exact quote from Punk in the interview he gave, because I think he said it best when he was like, you don't know what someone's going through. I wish people would just be a little nicer to each other.
Yeah.
And when you see how he's been dragged through the mud over even little things, like he lost in UFC,
mm-hmm.
and like we criticize his fight and like, okay, he's not the best UFC fighter, but we never dragged him through the mud for it like other people have.
Mm-hmm.
For people to, we talked about this last night, didn't we? Or was it Lindsay I was riding with? I'm pretty sure it was you, where I said, I don't understand how people can just do this to each other and treat each other this way and be so cruel to each other. It's like they don't have a conscience. I could never do that. And I've had people do that to me for lesser things, like just turning bad in wrestling. I've had people like attack me personally. And I don't understand how people can be this way. And I hope none of that contributed to Ashley Massaro passing away. But then again, that's what depression does. It takes something small to spark that, to ignite that fire.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, she leaves behind a 19-year-old daughter, Alexa, if I remember correctly.
19-year-old, I'm pretty sure.
I think she's like 15.
Yeah.
No, she's of age.
I thought she was younger.
Let me see. Because I did too. When I originally made the post for Podzilla, I put that she left behind a young daughter. And then I looked it up and I realized her daughter was like 19. She
had a really heartbreaking tweet. She's 18.
She's 18?
Yeah, that's according to the New York Post.
Oh, no, she was born, July 23rd, 2000. So she's about to be 19.
Yeah. She put out like a really heartbreaking thing on Instagram about like, hey, I appreciate everyone, sending me condolences, but it's not real to me yet. Like, so stop.
That's
just, that's
incredible.
I can't imagine that.
No.
Because I lost my dad when I was still a baby though.
Mm.
So it's, I can't imagine being that young still having.
I mean, I lost my mom when I was 25, and I lost my dad probably when I was 29, 30, and like
even as an adult,
it hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And they just, mom passed away from complications from open heart surgery. Dad passed away from cancer, after years of smoking. Neither of them died by suicide when they were in their late 30s.
So suddenly, yeah.
Right. So I can't imagine what she's going through. Of course, our hearts go out to them. I mean, I know she'll never hear this, but anyone that is listening, I legitimately feel terrible about it. And I agree that if you feel alone, there's always someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
You can even message us at Podzilla. I'm not joking. Our Facebook is always open. Someone's paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we got to move on. Let's talk about Ric Flair. Ric Flair underwent successful heart surgery. He is expected to miss the StarCast event. I think he just went home from the hospital today, and is in good spirits and very good. Very good.
Because TMZ reported he was rushed to the hospital in a very dire emergency situation. Then Conrad Thompson responded with God. Nope, this was a planned procedure. He wanted to get it out of the way before StarCast. Everything's cool. And then, he just goes home today. And I think it was either earlier today or yesterday, Conrad did another, where he's like, so apparently Rick downplayed how serious this was.
It was serious.
It was serious, but it was a scheduled procedure, but he made it seem like it was just going to be no big deal. But it turns out it was it was more of a big deal than he let on.
Damn, because I was just about to tear TMZ apart.
Well, because I don't think he was rushed to the hospital in a dire situation. Because
Right.
apparently it was he was scheduled to go, and like they knew what they were doing when he got there. It wasn't he collapsed and they had to call. Like, I don't think it was one of those. But but yeah. But he's home. He's back from the hospital, which is good. And so he is, but he will be missing StarCast. He will be missing because they had scheduled it was the roast of Ric Flair.
Yeah,
was going to happen. That's no longer happening. So
it's another blow to StarCast after they lost Taker and who else did they
Angle.
lose? Angle. Also from this weekend,
Conrad did talk about that on one of his podcasts about like, so I'm not the biggest fan of WWE right now, and they're not the biggest fan of me.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, and he was talking about it with Tony Schiavone, who just doesn't give a single shit about WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was so much fun.
it really sucks that WWE never answered his offer.
yeah.
Because he said he was just like, I threw my shot out. He's like, I told him I wanted Vince, Triple H, or Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and I was like, I'll use the pay with that and put it towards Conor Cure if you match it. And he's like, I was just calling my shot. I knew they wouldn't do it.
That's terrible that they wouldn't do it. I get why, because it's like when, I mean, it's not the same because this was a good cause, but you remember when WCW, they had their pay-per-view and Eric Bischoff invited Vince McMahon to come to the pay-per-view to fight him. And they had backstage, like at the WCW pay-per-view, they had a guy with a clipboard and had pictures of all the WWE guys. And like, if you see any of them, you make sure you call me. And Vince never showed up, obviously.
Right.
But I think this is different. This was a good cause. They should have gone. It would have been incredible for everybody. By the way, if you ever watch, I think it was the Monday Night War DVD where they talk about that incident and they talk about how McMahon didn't show up. If I remember correctly, the thing that the narrator was like, McMahon elected to not show up. He was busy. Just the most bullshit excuse. He wanted to go.
Oh yeah, he would have been.
He was
But
ready.
he had to wash his
Yeah,
hands.
he
Eric
was
Bischoff
busy.
during all that was just like on his podcast. He was like, "Oh, I knew Vince wasn't going to show up, but if he did, like Hogan and Macho Man were telling me, he's like, he's not
gonna
somebody
kick
to
your ass.
He's like, he's going to, and Bischoff's like, good, that'll be good TV.
Yeah.
Do you so you said it would have been, great for Vince and them if they would have shown up. Do you think so? Because look at the people who are going to StarCast.
From a PR perspective. WWE could have used this.
That they were going to StarCast
That they were
and
going
they're
to
raising
StarCast
money
for
for
Conor's Cure. And then if people would have been shitty to them, if they wanted to, they could have even spun that. And so you see what
Yeah, you're right.
this outside wrestling world does to us when we're trying to do something good. It would have made Conrad look bad because Conrad would have been the one that pitched it. If the fans had showed up and shit on Vince for this thing that was
just
going to charity,
Booed him nonstop.
it would have made him. Yeah, they could have turned it around. So,
Well,
and,
that was
and
the
they
other,
would have.
That was the other thing is like, because I don't know if it was like that's as strong of a guarantee as we're making it out to be that those fans
people
would
would
have
have
turned on Vince. But I could see it going either way. I could see it being a respect thing, like we were here to celebrate wrestling and it's double or nothing and great. But it also, like some of those diehard AEW fans, it is very much us versus them,
Right.
and Vince is the enemy.
And Vince doesn't do a lot of publicity usually.
No.
Like I can only remember him being on like Conan or maybe it was Letterman. He was on Letterman once, but it was like in the 80s. He was on Conan like one time.
We slapped the paper out of the hands of that last reporter that asked him a question.
That was
so-
on HBO. That was a real interview. Oh, that was rough. Also this weekend, another bad thing. Pac pulled from Double or Nothing. He was going to face Adam Page, and that match got pulled. They filmed it over the weekend, I think, in England.
It broadcast today or yesterday, I think.
It was today.
No, it was yesterday because I
haven't
watched
seen
it.
yet.
Yeah.
Because this is a story with a lot of moving parts, and a lot of people are kind of they're only getting part of it. Apparently, what happened is Pac is now the Dragon Gate champion.
Yep.
Pac is loyal to Dragon Gate in a way that not a lot of people are loyal to anything.
Yeah.
In their lives, he wants to represent Dragon Gate. And as their champion, he knows he is the Dragon Gate representative, especially in the West now. He was scheduled to face Adam Page. He was scheduled to beat Adam Page. And then he would go on and wrestle Kenny Omega at an upcoming event, potentially for the title. And he was going to lose that match. He didn't want to be champion and lose a match, which I think is fair. Like, I get that. If you're especially if it's a company that's not affiliated with this, and it's it's a major thing.
But why so close to the date?
I think they were probably they might have been. Apparently, they've known
Negotiating it.
about this for a while, but they're only just now announcing it, and it's only just now coming out. So what they did, and they also, and a lot of people are saying, well, what about, they could have just done a screwy finish that no one has to lose. Apparently, one of the AEW directives is they do not want disqualifications. They do not want dusty finishes. Their pay-per-view events will have a winner and a loser, and it'll be clear cut. And I actually really kind of dig that. And they also decided they also didn't want to just do something that would then throw off their long-term plans, because look at the biggest criticism of WWE. They're never thinking more than 2 weeks ahead. Like, they don't have any long-term planning. AEW seems to be taking long-term planning very, very seriously.
Right.
So instead, they just decided they would film the match in, like, earlier at that promotion in England. They streamed it yesterday. I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's really, really good.
It was.
Not
I watched it.
Not a surprise.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting story on, like, all fronts, because it's like, okay, so Pac's leaving. He's not going to be at Double or Nothing. That's a curveball. And then also just looking at how AEW wants to treat their pay-per-views and their long-term booking, that level of seriousness that they have.
Allie, quick question.
Yes.
Why is he called Pac?
Why are you asking me this question? This sounds like a Dalton question.
I would like you to answer it, please.
Because that's what he felt in his heart. There you go.
Dalton now, Steele. Why is he called Pac? I actually am curious.
Hell, I don't know.
Oh, you really don't know?
No, I don't know.
What you should have said is what I
Big
just
fan of X-Pac.
Well, because I mean, it's Pac, but it's in all caps, and like there has to be
emphasis.
Is it his initials? Maybe.
Nope.
Maybe he's
It's
a big
not-
fan of the Pacific Atlantic Conference in NCAA.
Wow.
Yeah.
My answer was better.
My answer, F off.
You're both wrong. It's because he's a big old fan of Pac-Man.
Okay.
Not the video game character.
All right.
But Adam Pac-Man Jones for his wrestling ability.
Kevin, can you in the comments?
Huntsberger for the seal.
Yeah, Huntsberger for the Steel. If you can tweet or Facebook,
By the
or
way-
whatever. You're at marketing now. Like you're
Yeah,
not
I'm about to say, by
yeah.
the way, congratulations to Kevin, who is taking a huge step in his life, changing his job, leaving WSIL, and going into marketing. What, did I get that wrong?
No, it was marketing, but I need to tell you a story after the show.
I had a dream that he'd moved to Cape,
That would be amazing.
and I was so happy.
Yeah. Well, wait, who's the ring announcer now? Bobby Clubs? Ooh. Oh, Bobby's good too. I like Bobby.
I would say Bobby versus Kevin, but Kevin's undefeated.
He is.
I don't know if
He's beaten Matthias.
respect to Bobby, but I don't know if he's got what it takes to bring down Kevin.
Legit congrats to Kevin. I told
Yeah,
him
no,
I told
that's
him
awesome.
personally that like I've wanted to make changes in my life for a long time, but legit I'm so scared of rocking the boat because I don't know what will happen. For him to do that, I have so much respect for what he did.
I picked on him so much Friday night.
Over his decision. You bastard.
No, just over. No, not the decision. I was
just in
making fun-
general.
Yeah, I was just
Okay,
making fun
that's
of
fine.
him.
That's fine. Speaking of Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan refused to go back to Saudi Arabia.
Aleister Black is also apparently refusing to go.
Good.
Yeah.
I always wonder what is their stance on wrestlers who don't want to go, because they told the troops they didn't have to go on the tribute to the troops because of a safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Saudi Arabia when it's like a moral objection? Is there penalties to be had for that? Like
For
some
some
of the
people, it
people-
is a safety issue.
Yeah, because
That's true.
Sami Zayn's not going because they won't let him in.
now,
and
why
I feel
won't
like-
they let Sami Zayn in?
Because of his
And I'm not being
race,
joking.
because of his race
Right.
and his background.
Which is what?
I believe I'm blanking now that you're putting me on the spot.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. He's Muslim, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the reason I said that is because Goldberg is going.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Is there a safety concern for Goldberg? Am I completely off on this? Like, does Goldberg have no worry? Like, maybe I'm wrong and I've got my places mixed up with who they hate. But I don't know. If I was literally anyone, I wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia. But man, that money is good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
oh,
so-
it's because he's Syrian.
Syrian.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So, by the way, was it Money in the Bank or was it Raw where they aired the commercial for Super Show and they
Money in the
shit
Bank.
all over WrestleMania? When they
They
literally,
said, no, it was Money in the Bank because I said, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because they said this is shaping up to be bigger than WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Is it
what's bigger than WrestleMania?
On par, maybe bigger than WrestleMania. Like, get the
Wow. How insulting. And like I get in the digital network age now, WrestleMania maybe doesn't mean as much, but you are literally saying the only reason this foreign show that you can't go to, that we're doing for a king, a bloodthirsty king,
Where they put couches in the front row.
where women aren't allowed to wrestle, is bigger than Mania. You better watch it. Now we're going back to the Ashley Massaro thing of like, I feel like I can't fucking support these people.
They also never said Saudi Arabia.
No.
They said
No, yeah.
Jeddah
After the fact.
after, but not in the commercial. They said it on the commentary table, but they did not say it. Is that a shiny?
No.
I need a Charmander anyway.
And
but he's wanting a Charizard.
I was very much going to give them credit, at least this time, because it seemed like this kind of was, they were keeping this show separate. Like, so far, up until, as of recording this last week, Wednesday, there really hadn't been a whole lot of build other than a little bit of Shane Roman. But everything else had been still very much focused on Money in the Bank. Like, it hadn't been spilling onto TV. Like, okay, maybe they're just running a house show. Then, yeah, Money in the Bank happened, and then SmackDown and Raw, and it's just like, nope, yep, here it is. We're dedicating to a pay-per-view that I'm not going to watch. Because that is one that I have no problem not watching. Yeah. I didn't watch the
I've never watched a single one.
I think... No, I didn't watch any. I didn't watch the first one either.
I did.
I think I watched like YouTube clips of like one or two things, but
and it's really sad that they're promoting it so hard that they would put so much effort into it that they didn't put into Mania. Mm-hmm. Undertaker's there. Undertaker wasn't at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Goldberg is there. Goldberg wasn't at WrestleMania.
But at the same time, like WrestleMania, I'm fine. I am honestly fine with them missing WrestleMania.
I mean, it's not like they were going to add much to it other than the mystique of, oh, hey, it's the Undertaker.
Right.
But it's just a sad state of affairs that they don't feel the need to trot him out for their American audience, but for the Saudi king, hell yeah, let's do this.
I do think they are going to burn the Money in the Bank there, though.
With Lesnar?
Yeah.
You think he's going to take the title from Rollins already?
Either Rollins or Kofi.
Well, Kofi's already got an
opponent.
Well, he could cash in after it, couldn't he? Yeah, but if it's with the Saudi king, I feel like they would be pushing it, so they would want the
Money in the Bank cash in.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, and it's sad, and I could not believe my ears when I heard them say it's bigger than Mania. What a slap in the face. Good on Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan for refusing to go to Saudi.
And Aleister Black.
And
he's not on the list because that like just broke while we were doing that.
And Sami Zayn, who, even if he could go, probably would not.
I was going to say, like, he would probably also morally object, but he can't go because he might literally be stoned to death. But because they still do that.
So, if you have the option to go or to not go.
They also apparently issued some sort of threat against Canada, so...
Sami did?
No, Saudi Arabia.
He's from there!
Exactly. He probably listened to Press Start to Join, didn't like what he heard, which I don't know how you do that.
Okay, good. I was about to say, like, turn this boat around.
If you were a talent and you were told you don't have to go and you choose to go to make the money, can they be criticized?
If they choose to go because of the money?
If like a Shawn Michaels, you don't need the money.
Oh, like when Shawn Michaels came out of retirement
but here's $1 billion to come over and wrestle in this place that, as a Christian, you should be outraged at how they treat people. Mm-hmm. Can he be criticized for that, or is it just money?
For the rest of them,
I don't know.
For the rest of them, I'm going to say just money. For the promotion, it's scummy. But it's one of those, like, you're not guaranteed a payday like that.
Well, and it's one of those things, like, I feel like they aren't, I don't know if they are necessarily giving you if they're just like, okay, here's the team sign-up sheet, but put your name if you want to go to Saudi Arabia. Like, I feel like never mind, it's because it's pure speculation. I have no idea how they get the talent
booked for it.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you ask how Daniel Bryan became WWE champion after he refused to go.
Yeah.
This is the second time.
It's one of those that I don't think they're adjusting. Like, this is very much a glorified house show with extra stars added into it.
Very glorified.
Didn't Roman Reigns refuse to go to the last one?
Has there been more than one?
There's been two.
Yeah, there's been
because they did the Crown Jewel. What was the other one?
Greatest Royal Rumble.
You're right, because
it's Greatest Royal Rumble then Crown Jewel.
Huh?
Wasn't it Greatest Royal Rumble and then Crown Jewel?
I think so.
Yeah. What was the one that?
There was one in Australia.
That was the Super
Showdown,
which they're using that name again.
Bigger than Mania. They should have called it Bigger Than Mania.
I'm trying to figure out which one that
they should have called it Bigger Than Jesus.
The one that Roman went through the cage and
that
very
was
obvious.
Greatest Royal Rumble.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
well then Crown Jewel I don't think he was at.
Yeah.
No, he was dealing with leukemia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Was that
That was during his time away. Yeah. So he could have went. I don't know. Either way, fuck him.
So, because the headline was he told WWE that he didn't want to go before he got leukemia, like before the diagnosis.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I mean, good on him then.
Well, yeah, but it's to me, it's interesting that he's going this time. Like, if he already told him he didn't want to go,
maybe they pressured him, because I guarantee you they pressure people.
If we're specifically talking about Roman Reigns, he's gonna have a lot of bills. Mm-hmm. Like, this might be, I don't want to go, but this will help me out.
But this will pay off my.
I don't think about that.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. That's real fucked up. Like, you're probably right. Like, that's the part that I don't like. Of just like, man, I really don't like these people that
I got to go.
the American
the healthcare system
is
is
so
boned.
fucked that I have to go
Yeah.
wrestle in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
This is Breaking Bad levels of just pay teachers more.
Hashtag pay Roman. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Damn it, Allie, you made that way more sad than
You really did. Sadistic. You were
Quit
sadistic.
being smart.
No, you're probably right. I hate that you're probably right.
WWE blocks Xavier Woods' YouTube channel, that's Up Up Down Down, from showing Chris Jericho. Just anything with Chris Jericho.
So
or what?
apparently this has been going on for a while, but it only just got pointed out, at least to me, and I think a lot of other people. So he and Tyler Breeze have a series where they play GM mode from the SmackDown vs. Raw 2006.
Yeah. I don't like where this is going.
Yep, I'm seeing the writing on the wall right now.
This week they did a special because basically what they do is they have 5 minutes to book their respective show. Tyler Breeze does Raw, Xavier Woods does SmackDown. They get 5 minutes to manage their roster, book all the matches, and then when they're both done, they simulate the results or assimilate the results and go from there. And they do it week by week. So they did something special for the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble, they aired the entire match. They from start to finish. They did almost like a little mini podcast, which they had a really good talk about they're the fan era. Because, look at WWE.com and they're dressing up as like ECW people and Stone Cold. And he's like, do you think they would have ever done that in the Attitude Era for like Hogan and Jake the Snake and people like that?
Well, just Big Show.
And
that
then-
was his gimmick.
And then also, are they going to now in 20 years, like, are they going to be bringing in Tyler Breeze as like a surprise return, or are they just going to skip their generation and have Batista come out with a walker? So like, it's like a really good talk that they had. And then they run the entire Royal Rumble, except for like entrant 26 or something comes out and it hard cuts. And instead of having like 5 people in the ring and a bunch of people left to come out, it's down to the final 4. And someone's like, hey, what's with this weird cut? And Xavier Woods responded with, sometimes they make us take stuff out.
So it was either Benoit or it was Jericho.
Could have been Benoit.
I think it would have been Jericho because I think Tyler Breeze had Jericho on his roster. And someone pointed out like, hey, have you noticed in the last couple of weeks, Jericho's just gone. And he was in a feud. Like he was using him. And then he's just gone. And then
that makes me... Man, I miss that GM mode.
And then someone else pointed out that apparently you can turn off like who you want to appear in matches. And like, so Benoit has been off the table like the entire time.
Okay,
like he
fair
was
enough.
never involved. And then you go back to when they live streamed the WWE or the Up Down Down Championship. They took it off of the character select when they played whichever wrestling game it was on the N64. And he's like, okay, you cannot pick him, or him. Like these people, you cannot use these people. Like, so you couldn't see the screen. It was a wide shot of them. And you heard him give the instructions of you are not allowed to pick these people.
Xavier said that?
Yes. He told that to the people who were competing because it was a tag match. So they had to pick 4 wrestlers and they didn't show the character selects. They didn't show who they picked. Like they didn't show them as they were picking them. That was all done off screen. And a lot of the speculation was Benoit. But then someone pointed out like, hey, Jericho would have been turned off. Benoit would have been turned off before the season started. So that's why he's not even showing up in Free Agents. Jericho was part of the show. So he could have been in the Royal Rumble. And that's what they had to cut out.
So Up Down Down is hosted on WWE, right?
Nope, it's its own YouTube channel, but WWE apparently provides all of essentially like the majority of the production side of things.
That's a rough call because on the one hand, if they technically like if they're paying for it, then I can see how they would have an argument of we don't want you to show one of our biggest competitors who's very vocal about us right now.
Yep.
Benoit's a given. Like I get Benoit was a great wrestler and had a great legacy, but I truly believe that what he did disqualifies him. Like,
I'm not arguing that.
And a lot of people would, but I'm glad you agree with me.
Jericho had a really, really good podcast today or yesterday. It was getting ready for the Double or Nothing, and he was talking about his decision of like going over and all this, like going to AEW instead of WWE and like his choices in the last like year and a half, which it was really interesting to hear him talk about. Of just like, I always said I was never going to do this, and then things change, and you never like. He was like, whenever I will show up on TNT again 20 years after my last TNT match.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
which is crazy.
Yeah, he was like, I never thought I'd wrestle on TNT again. That's something you never think about, but it's one of those. It's been 20 years because 1999 was the last time he wrestled on Nitro.
And it's Chris Jericho. Man can do what he wants.
Mhm.
He's invincible. Did they pull? Well, was it ever on Up Down Down when they did the thing with Kenny Omega and the Bucks? Because remember WWE even promoted that.
Yeah, I mean they did it, but I don't think they pulled it. But I also think it's one of those things like they would have to go back and remove something.
Retroactively.
Yeah. So I don't know if they ever. I don't think they did. But
Hey, speaking of being pulled, Alexa Bliss was pulled from Money in the Bank due to medical concerns.
Mhm.
I almost said due to magical concerns, which would have been funny.
she brings back the pixie dust gimmick,
Oh, God.
Or she
but it
does
turns
the
out
old-
it's real.
She does the Candice Michelle thing with the wand.
Oh, and turns HBK into a woman.
So crazy.
That was a video game. I remember.
That was a good game. She was pulled from Money in the Bank. I almost said Men in Black due to medical concerns. Allegedly threw up backstage after taking a bad bump. I heard about the throw up thing, but I didn't hear what bump it was.
And I haven't seen that either. But that's just the story. So they kind of thought like, well, she's cleared, but
And she was
why
on,
would we? If we have someone who is having these issues, why would we put them in a ladder match?
And she was on Raw,
Mhm.
and she wrestled, but I didn't
She
see the
did not
match. Did
wrestle.
she do anything?
It was Nikki
She-
Cross and
So it was
Becky.
the Iconics and Lacey Evans interrupted. It was Alexa Bliss was out there with Becky and Nikki Cross, and so they challenged them to Becky like made an impromptu 6-person tag, and she's like, and so me and Nikki Cross, or because Nikki Cross volunteered, and then Becky Lynch volunteered Alexa, and Alexa's like, I was not prepared for this. So she's like, whatever, you're coming. So she grabs her coffee mug, and she literally just stands outside
Drinking
the
coffee?
entire match, and it's
Drinking
essentially a
coffee.
3-on-2 handicap match.
That's my
that-
kind of woman.
That Becky
That
Lynch
just sits outside drinking coffee.
that Becky Lynch wins almost single-handedly, and then Alexa Bliss came in and celebrated like she, won because
No,
she's a treasure.
Was it Becky Lynch or was it her hot ass mama?
She's fine. I want her though.
Hella foxy.
No, she's taking it.
So I was worried. I posted this and Derek Boxdorfer responded to it because he was like, "You were just talking about this on PW
Because,
the
like,
day before."
Yeah, because she wasn't like because you talked about like, oh, she was pulled from the match on Raw because she might have been hurt. It's like, no, I mean they just played it off as so no, it's not anything. And then literally the next day it's like, hey, so not only is she hurt potentially, but she's out of Money in the Bank. And it's like, okay.
I hope she's okay. She said her career is fine. It's nothing to worry about. But
If you're being removed from matches due to health concerns, it
gets scary.
Yeah, that
because
doesn't-
she's how old is she? 16, 17? She's way too young.
She's like,
25, 26
about to say
maybe.
she's my age.
She's way too young to be like risking her life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that really sucks. And me and Derek talked about it on that post because he was like, why do you think it seems more people are getting hurt? And it's, even though we have a better understanding of like medical stuff, like they're wrestling a more risky style than they used to. They work every day. I mean, wrestling is a hard business.
I mean, and there's
people
a lot,
underestimate just how hard this business is.
which is why I don't want to actually wrestle. Put me in a chair and let me talk because I'm a baby.
Get them a baby chair.
High chair. And also part of it is like go back and listen to that, the interview we did with Animal, where they were hurt all the time.
He's popping his eyeball back into place.
They just couldn't, admit it or acknowledge it.
Right.
Whereas now we are in, it's less of a taboo to, admit you have an injury.
Back to Jericho really quick. He did an interview with Bully Ray a couple weeks ago, and it was for Busted Open, and they mentioned Fandango and all that. Like, and he was like, "What do you think happened there?" And I was like, "Well, he got hurt." And he wasn't an Old School Brother about it. He was supposed to win the IC title. An Old School Brother would have won the title and said, "Hey, I think I'm hurt." Instead, he was New School Brother and said, "Hey, I'm hurt." And then he never got another title shot.
It's a Fandango.
He's right though.
Fandango?
Ugh.
Did you also see?
Fandango's like my
Did you
baby.
see the Bubba Ray tweet? When someone asked him what the catering looked like at ECW.
Mm-mm.
It was his answer was 3 emojis. The first one was a pill. The second one was a beer bottle, and the third one was an 8-ball.
Jeez.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So Bully Ray got. Ooh, okay.
You know the injury.
I almost said jokes, but it's like he wasn't joking.
No, he was telling straight facts that day.
You know the retirement that got me that I realized wrestling was really hard? Edge.
Yeah.
When Edge came out and said I have to give this up because Edge was in it also really young.
He was also like because
He was like
I
38, 39,
saw
wasn't he?
his last match.
Yep.
Live.
Yep, because it was WrestleMania 27 against Alberto Del Rio, and Del Rio was supposed to win. If you listen to like the stories, Del Rio was supposed to win the World Championship, but they wanted to give. They knew
send
that
off.
was going to be his last match, so they gave Edge one more moment.
That was the one that when he came out and said I have to give this up, like it was like, oh wow.
Because I remember the website leading up to that Raw and the previews during that episode of Edge to give an update on his career, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's world champion. Like,
Yeah.
is he gonna have like a big celebration type thing? And then like, oh no, and
He's
it turned out to be
crying.
that, and it was
Yeah.
just like, what the hell?
Good news, bad news. So Bray Wyatt had a child. He had a new child, which I don't know if we mentioned last week, because I don't know if it happened yet.
No, it hadn't.
Okay. JoJo suffered complications during the surgery, which apparently induced labor, and it apparently was pretty bad.
Yeah,
she did pull through. Everything's okay.
She had preeclampsia,
Yeah.
which is
I don't know what that is.
very, very bad to have if you are pregnant, because it can end the life of the baby and the mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like both, yeah.
So-
and oftentimes it is an either or situation,
Yeah.
too. But because he was, it's reported that he was actually supposed to debut on Raw. Like, he was supposed to make his first appearance, but she went in premature labor, and so they gave him to. So that's why, like, we didn't get like a full Firefly Funhouse.
We had like a
weird like montage of, apparently it was footage they had already shot that hadn't used, and also some of the what's going to be in his new intro video.
cool.
And they just kind of melded that all together.
Yeah, apparently he was by her bedside the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, which is cool on him. Cool on Bray. Now, and I'm glad. Here comes the bad joke of the week. I'm glad. No. It's a good joke. It's a good joke. I'm glad mother and child are perfectly fine. I really am. Now the worst thing about the kid is just his name, because that name is rough.
It's Nash, isn't it?
Nash,
Nash
K-N-A-S-H.
6. Think about it. K Nash 6, and whatever his last name is.
Hall.
He literally named his kid after Kevin Nash and 6.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
That's just weird, because I didn't know they had a connection.
I don't.
Like, that would be like
Fucking Kevin Nash.
He's a mark.
yeah.
Nash 6.
And be happy. I didn't go with its X-Pac. I went with Kevin Nash. Dickhole.
AEW will not feature scripted promos.
Sweet.
That's good for some and bad for others.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have Scott
Well-
Steiner on roster.
Well, and that's
Oh.
but when you look at who they're bringing in, like,
Do they need scripts?
yeah, there's not many people who really, require a script.
I feel
or
like-
at least I take that back. There's not a lot of people who have made their name using a script.
Right.
Aside from, like, if they may have, like, written something out ahead of time for themselves. Like,
Dustin Rhodes.
This is not a group of
Maybe.
people. Yeah, this is not a group of people who are coming in and used to going into the writer's room. Okay, what you got for me this week?
Which is really good, because I always felt that like scripted promos are bad.
And
I have two reasons for that now. Well, actually, I have an argument for it and against it, and both come from CCW, in the sense that I'm against scripted promos, because the last time we tried to help script out promos, they literally took it in front of the camera and made fun of it. Justin. Won't do that again. The other side of that is, how many times have we assumed that these guys would just go at it, and we're like, all right, so just whatever you want to say, and they just stare at us and go, well, what do you want me to say? And it's like, just talk.
And to be like, in fairness to the people who are nervous about doing that, like,
They probably don't do that a lot.
yeah, they may not do that a lot. And also, this is what story are they trying to tell? Like, these are
Yeah.
people who work, how many shows a month, and now they're coming in here and trying to, like,
Keep everything in
right.
brain.
So, and also it's worth noting too that this was said in a red carpet interview at the upfronts for TNT. It was Cody and Brandy that talks about, you're not going to see a lot of the scripted promos. So.
I'm a fan of that.
But yeah,
I'm a fan of that.
it can be really, really cool. It could lead to a more, organic, natural feel for
Yeah,
everybody.
because scripted promos I've never been a big fan of. Some people do need them. Some people need to know, or at least bullet points.
Right.
What do you want me to hit on? Other people can just go. Like, I like to think that I'm one of those people that you give me a microphone, I will just ramble. But you can ramble in a way that makes people think that you're coherent. That is the secret to a good
You
promo.
wrote like 3 of my promos.
I've helped.
You bullet pointed like 3 of my promos.
You know who my favorite promo of all time was at CCW?
I was about to say Scott Steiner.
There's a long list of like really funny ones, but it was probably Gregory Iron chewing that damn gum.
That was-
Oh my
Oh,
God.
That's still my favorite backstage interview.
Yeah.
And mostly because I'm so proud of Allie, because I
Oh.
absolutely would have ruined it by
Oh
laughing.
my God.
She kept
That
it
was
together.
so hard.
yeah.
Do. Because
See-
I'm standing there and I'm like, it like comes together. I know exactly what it's doing. And I go, oh, I can't mess this up.
Right.
Yeah, because
This
he can't
poor
do
guy, if I mess this up, is not going to have any more gum.
How many packs of gum we
like,
got?
You're going to have to go to Walgreens to go get more gum so we can do another take.
Yeah.
Consummate professional right here, Allie Abear. One take Allie. That's what we call her, as opposed to 7 take Jeff. I remember
3-take Dalton.
that time that Jeff was going over that blaster promo with Asa, and Sarge is over there, and every time he repeats it, Sarge starts mouthing the words with him and like cussing at him, like Jesus Christ.
Oh
That-
fuck! I remember that one. Yeah.
Is that the one where he was like walking, talking?
Fucking pile of shit. Which I was. Oh, I was the interviewer for. I'm pretty sure because I was like, well, that's a new way to take it.
Oh God, I was to the AEW one. Sean Spears, formerly known as Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, and Tyler Breeze, formerly known as Tyler Breeze, are opening a wrestling school.
Yep.
Now he's known as Coach.
How to be beautiful.
Flatbacks in Florida. It's in Florida, but I don't remember.
I like
where.
that name.
Flatbacks?
I like that name so much.
As opposed to the wrestling school that I'm opening soon.
All
called-
necks.
Called Fatbacks.
Jesus.
You know, sometimes you have to be in the business for 3 years before you can, go to seminars. Our wrestling school, you have to be over a certain weight limit. You have to have this much cholesterol before you can.
It's like fat
practice.
camp, but for
wrestlers, for people that want to be wrestlers. Like we've got a whole new setup where they're just riding rascals into each other.
Jesus.
It's the most boring demolition derby.
Wow.
Do we want to talk about Raw and SmackDown, or should we just skip that?
There were a couple.
I have no idea what
Hit me with the big ones.
The big ones are Brock Lesnar announced that he will reveal who he's going after with the Money in the Bank briefcase on Raw this week. So whether or not he holds to that, I genuinely think he's either going to do Seth Rollins at the Saudi Arabia show, but I also very much think that he's, does he not get a rematch? Like I know they said they're getting rid of automatic rematch clauses, but all of that they've said has just gone out the window.
But then wild card.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Could he cash in on Kofi, take his title, and initiate his rematch clause with Seth, and take his title and be champion of both brands?
Yes.
Just shut up.
Yes, he could. Like absolutely, and then he could win the 24/7 title just on his way out.
As he's leaving.
Yeah, so like that's because I see it going one of two ways. I could see him announcing that he's using the cash in to get a Universal Championship match at Saudi Arabia, but I also don't think that he needs the cash in to get that. But he could. But my gut reaction went to, and I think Kyle posted it too on his Facebook, of he cashes in on Kofi. And then it's Roman Lesnar on Fox for that big. That's the story that they want to tell to get people watching, like casual audience on Fox when they switch over.
Which will probably work.
Mm-hmm.
Hate to say, because I think, and this is sad, Kofi has held it longer than I thought he was going to.
He's already he's been WWE champion more days than Batista.
What?
Yep.
Word.
Wow.
Batista also was on SmackDown a lot and wrestled for the world title.
Yeah. But still,
yeah.
Cool.
So at least his name is on there. He got his flowers,
Yeah.
which was important.
Mm-hmm.
What did we expect? Like,
Oh yeah, no, I very much was ready for him to lose it. Then
Next
literally
night?
2 days later. Yeah.
Anything else on Raw, SmackDown?
Then for Raw, the 24/7 championship was introduced.
Oh yeah, I guess we should talk about that just a little bit, because that a lot of people have been hating on that belt. Like just visually, it's a very ugly belt. And also the rule, and also Mick Foley's promo. Pretty much everything about this has been shit on. I've yet to see anything from it.
I haven't seen anything bad about Foley. Like I've seen people talk about Foley was the only saving grace of that whole segment.
Well, even Foley himself. Apparently, they booed him in the arena, and even Foley himself.
No, they treated him very well until he revealed the belt. They were booing the belt. He was just in the ring.
He was the bad person that was holding
he
it.
was the one having to sell it.
Don't let that man reveal belts, because they do not give him good ones. They gave him the Universal belt, and the crowd shit on that one, and they gave him the 24/7 belt.
Did you see the side plates for it?
They're completely empty.
Yeah, no. There are two corners that have like the little line drawn.
It has like a design
see?
on it.
Okay, like the little corners.
Yeah,
okay.
it's got like two little corner.
So they're
lines.
fucking blank. All right. Wow.
So they said they wanted to create something that would create more excitement during like the third hour, especially like something that people will constantly be going, "Oh, what's going to happen next?" It's like the old hardcore title when it had the 24/7 rule,
But
but
that
without
belt
the whimsy.
You was about to say that belt was charming.
Yeah, it had a magic to it, and it was
Like-
fun. And you know why
But
it was
there was-
fun? Crash Holly.
But there was also
God, you are not wrong.
Crash Holly made it.
and now we
fun.
have R-Truth. And R-Truth is going to do that.
In a
Like he's
wig.
on Twitter talking about he's got the European Championship.
The European Continental Championship is what he was calling it.
But it's, I don't know, like the Hardcore Championship at least had a legacy behind it. And like this is literally just like For me, it feels like, hey, here's the table scraps for all the people who have to get themselves over on social media.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode.
Look at
Robert.
the group of people who immediately started to clamor for it, and then watch as the champion, who could be pinned at any time, runs past Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, or maybe it was Lashley. He ran past two wrestlers who could not give two shits about that belt because they knew it was beneath them.
Yep.
That's what you show on your first episode. That does not sit well with me. Like, I get that it can be fun, and like I more look forward to what the people do in their own free time, in their own creative ways on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, because
than what I'm going to see on Raw.
It's going to be like the.
What was the name of that old belt? DDT?
No.
Whoa,
That's
everybody's
still going.
stepping right on me.
It's the DDT.
Was that what you were gonna say?
It's the DDT Iron Man heavyweight. It's a huge last name.
Dalton, is that what it is?
It's the DDT Heavy Metal Iron Man belt.
Thank you.
The
Why don't you just say that?
That Joey Ryan lost it because Candice LeRae had a dream she beat him for it.
I think I still follow it on
That
Twitter.
was a legitimate championship change.
And the
Okay.
only way to check and see who was winning and losing it was Twitter.
And I guarantee, like, they're
But
not
that's
gonna,
fun because it's a joke. It's a parody.
right? But they're not going to do anything like. I don't think they're going to do anything that fun, like that creative with it. And again, it's all going to be like Drake Maverick printing out wanted like missing posters for R-Truth, trying to find him. That's hilarious, but that's not what they put on TV.
Oh, Bray Wyatt's gonna win it, isn't he?
Doubt it. Elias is going to win it, and he's going to call it his gold record. That's my prediction.
So,
So Elias clearly ain't doing nothing.
Anything
The
on
DDT Iron Man Heavy Metalweight Championship.
Yeah.
anything
There
on
it is.
SmackDown, please? We gotta go.
SmackDown had the return of Dolph Ziggler.
it did.
Heyman teased Kofi that Brock was going to cash in on Kofi after he beat Zayn, and then Ziggler attacked him and then cut a really good promo about how everything Kofi did, that should have been me. So he's just like in this weird super jealous state. So he's going to come in, lose in Saudi Arabia, and then go back to comedy.
So Dolph Ziggler, basically, I'm standing at the dock, and I missed the boat because that ship has sailed so long ago, and I can only see it in the distance.
And it's a shame
because he's so good.
He's so good, and he always comes in and like they give him good stuff, but they never actually like
follow through
with
Yeah.
it.
He's a victim of bad writing and I don't know the word for it. It's
Inconsistent booking.
I've said this of all the people that I've ever said, God, look what they did to him. Dolph is the one.
Yeah.
I say it about Zack Ryder. I said about Nia Jax.
Bray Wyatt.
But Dolph is the one. He is the one. Dolph Gunn. And then we had Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank was a pretty good show with a couple of things that were kind of baffling. Brock Lesnar is obviously the big story. He came back and won the Money in the Bank contest. What a fucking fuck that was. Like,
I think it was Sadie who looked at me like as I started gathering my stuff up like when he came out, and she's like, "Oh, look how mad Ace is getting." It's like, I really wasn't, like, and it's worse because it wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness, it was
stop caring.
It was apathy.
Yeah.
Like I just okay, cool, whatever. Like I was really hoping that
That happened with me and Braun Strowman whenever he was killing Sami's Zayn. I was like, I even put in the group chat. It's like, I don't care about him anymore.
I only hate it because, like, I'm not mad about it in the sense that a lot of the fans were like, this is bullshit. Like, I just said what a fucking fuck it was. Only because literally from a storyline standpoint as a writer, that you have a guy who was not announced for the match, that was never booked for it, just walk out at the end of the match and win it, is just lazy. Like, I'm not mad.
I mean,
that's
what they did with Becky Lynch.
That's
how she won the Royal Rumble.
But at least she came out and talked to them, and visually,
she also had a lot of steam going for her, which Brock really hasn't done anything after.
He's Brock Lesnar.
But she also got permission.
Fair enough.
Remember, she actually came out and said,
Yeah.
I want to do it. And he was like, go.
Yeah, she told Finley, we're Irish.
Finley had
Yeah. But Brock literally, like, with no explanation, if he was the guy that was supposed to be in it the whole time, like if he was the substitute, why wasn't he in it from the beginning? Like, there's so many unanswered questions that we'll never get answers to. I don't care that it's Brock. It's whatever. They're going to make Brock has the golden jetpack strapped onto him. He will never lose it. I don't know. Am I expecting too much for just at least some explanation or some context, you know?
I was
starving for it.
I was really hoping that, like, the rumors were true, that they were going to, like, put this on someone and really, like, and do like what they did with Edge.
Yeah.
And, like,
Strap a
really kind of,
rocket.
really try to establish a new main event player in a legitimate way that's not just going to get buried in the next 2 months and in the just minutia of the rest of the shows.
Right.
I feel bad for the people who, like look at what happened to Finn Balor and Ricochet in that match. Like, the bumps that they took only for the moment
themselves.
only for the moment to be, taken by Brock Lesnar because Lesnar wins the match. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about the absolute best choke slam anyone has ever seen that Baron Corbin hit, putting Ricochet through the table.
Yeah.
Or
Did you see Randy Orton's tweet to Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears?
Randy Two Bumps.
Yeah, it was at Flatbacks. Can you teach me how to kill myself in a ladder match? Because apparently I'm not good at it. Hashtag Randy Two Bumps. And I was like, that was
Twitter. Randy
also, did you see the Ali one that Ali said?
It's the most wrestling he's done all year.
Brock Lesnar's done all year. Randy retweeted it and said, "What a smart ass." Hashtag I approve.
That bump that Balor took off the ladder where he bounced up.
Yeah, and then
is one of the
again.
scariest things I've ever seen. That match was scary. And again, it's like when, to a lesser degree, Allie, it's like when you had the first Money in the Bank match for women and then a man won it. It's like, well, now you have this insane match where everyone's working so hard and they're killing themselves just to have Brock Lesnar win it.
In fairness, though,
it wasn't as insulting.
But also Ellsworth isn't the one who left with the briefcase. He gave it to Carmella, who was in the match.
Yeah.
So, that's the only distinction that I would really make there.
And since we got on that boat, let's go on the boat about the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Good God.
That was a great match.
And it was on the pre-show.
No, it was the first.
It was the first. It starts
the
at
opening
6
match.
now.
It does start at 6?
Yeah, the show started at
Okay.
6 now.
Because I thought the same thing. I was
thought it was on the
are
pre-show.
you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God. The women were like, you know what? Double birds. Let's see what we can do. That match was insane.
Which someone must have whispered to Finn Balor later, do you think we could bounce you off that ladder to make up for this? And he's like, sure, I'm Irish. I'll do anything.
It was Andrade. That was just an insane. That was cool. I felt bad for him, but that was cool.
What about that drama? I know we're getting into Twitter drama. That's probably just work. But that whole thing with Mandy and Carmella, where Carmella deleted it, I feel like that was. I'm bringing this up not because I'm trying to shame Carmella for writing it, but I truly believe that it was a thing that they did together. That maybe WWE stepped in and said, "Hey, maybe don't get so inside with it." Possibly.
Maybe I don't care, honestly. I genuinely don't think that it was. I don't think it was real because of how long you got multiple camera angles of it, and if something,
Mandy quote unquote being unsafe.
Yeah, and of Carmella pushing her off and all that. Plus, then she came back. If she hadn't come back later in the match, then maybe. But I
didn't know that's the spot they were addressing because I missed part of that match.
I
think I was still working, wasn't I? Yes, I was.
Yeah, because that was when you were taken down for the lock-in thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I also, like I said, I also don't care. Apparently, then Carmella did obliterate her on SmackDown, just squashed her,
which is crazy.
In a match.
Which is crazy.
So maybe I don't know.
Could you please tell me who you're pushing at this point? Really, because I remember
Becky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Bailey this week.
Yeah. Charlotte's gonna look great beating her.
Or Lesnar. Fuck it.
Lesnar.
Lesnar just takes the title from Bailey. I'm a woman beater now too.
John Wick.
Can you hate me more?
John Wick 3 spoiler. He hits a Bailey to belly, and it's awesome.
When you say John Wick, are you talking about Keanu Reeves or Justin Smart?
I'm talking about Keanu Reeves.
Okay. Just make sure.
I missed all of that.
I just want to make sure.
You've not disparaged our Lord and Savior John Wick.
How
I will turn the Wednesday show into a John Wick podcast. You just watch me.
What's it called?
Podbellum.
He fucking had a name.
Oh, you don't think he's been thinking about this? You don't think this has been on his mind? Nothing Asa does is on the fly. Everything is cold and calculated.
I work with a script.
It's unscripted.
It's nothing but scripted promos. Don't tell them that.
What about Rowan and Brian losing to the Oos?
Don't. I mean, it was a good match. Yeah,
God, so much of this is just going I don't care.
It really is, and that's kind of sad. We were very right about the women Money in the Bank cash in.
Yeah.
I thought that Becky would beat both, and then she would lose the cash in. But either way, we got Bayley's the SmackDown Women's Champion, which is cool. I really hope that this is a prolonged thing and not just a vehicle to make Charlotte look more dangerous.
Or Sasha to come back and squash her.
No, because Sasha's on Raw. I think they've made a point of making sure that
wild card.
Fuck. Oh God.
White hot room.
I just broke him.
You did. I don't know why that's the thing that got me, but
because now every time something goes weird, you just go wild card.
It was cute whenever Charlie did it.
It's like the Simpsons episode where they're talking about Xena. Xena is doing a speech, and they're just like, Lucy Lawless is talking about Xena, and there's like, how come this? And she said, whenever something weird happens, it's because a magician did, a wizard did it. Okay, but how come wizard did it?
Ace's response was the Shannon response when someone says the ghost got her pregnant.
Son of a bitch. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. And chose not to.
No, overall, Money in the Bank was a good show.
It was a good show.
We're not going to break down match by match, but
I was thoroughly entertained by it. Even like, and it goes back to the whole thing that I am starting to get a lot of apathy towards WWE.
Oh, but that AJ Styles,
that was
Seth
insane.
Rollins match
Yeah,
was
Jericho
great.
put that over on his podcast because he
so
said he was
good.
like, yeah, no, like you'll have your moments like Brock Lesnar taking the Money in the Bank while not being in the match where 7 other people are destroying themselves. That's fine. But like the AJ Seth Rollins match was insane. The Kevin Owens Kofi match I was a big fan of.
I really like that match too.
Yeah.
Will say I need to go back and rewatch Shane and Miz because we were too busy showing Jesse all of the Firefly Funhouse segments. I missed like the entirety of that match until we were like, I moved back to where Shannon was because Shannon was on the computer and we were on a delay, and Shannon just looks over and it's at the end of the match where Shane is like holding on. And he just looks over. He's like, "Oh, he's probably gonna take his shirt off." And I thought he meant like, "Oh, Shane's gonna like take his shirt off to show how serious he is." And instead, the finish happens where Miz is holding onto the shirt and Shane slips out.
Asa
And I
looks
just
at
look
me.
and I'm like, "What the?" Because I forgot that we weren't watching live.
I had looked it up.
I forgot we were on the delay, and I was just
You're
like,
a dickhole.
He does that while we watch movies.
Tony Nese versus Ari Daivari was also really, really good.
I mean, it was a good show. Like, I can't think of a match on that show that I didn't think was good.
Yeah, but
You
it's
know-
one of those, like, if I'm going to talk about Brock Lesnar that much, I am going to talk about how other people did a really, really good
Yeah,
job.
Brock Lesnar should not overshadow everything everyone did. You know?
I mean, but if you ask WWE, that's their star.
If you ask a lot of fans that reacted to the show that night, that's all they talked about. Everybody was so pissed at Brock, they forgot to compliment everyone else, and
Well,
that's
I mean,
a shame.
that's just the social media age that we live in. Of like, they're not going to focus. If one match
That's
goes
just-
completely if Kenny Jericho stinks up the joint this weekend, it doesn't matter how well everything else
ruins
went.
the whole show.
Yeah, like, and that's a real shame because you have a show that has 9 to 10 matches on it, and if one of them sucks or one of them has a finish that you don't like, that was a shit show,
Yep.
and that's not fair.
Man, I'm honest.
love to complain.
I'm honestly kind of scared about the fallout for. I mean, granted, everything with All In was great, like, and everyone was very like everyone who watched it seemed to enjoy it.
Even with the whole main event issue that they had,
Right, but now that this is the second show and they have to redeliver and they have that TV deal on the horizon, it's just, I don't know. There's just something weird about the energy like from the internet of like, I feel like expectations are now even higher.
Well, do you remember
And if they don't deliver, then it might be kind of rough.
the first ECW? What was the revival show?
One Night
that they did?
Stand, the
One Night
2005.
One Night Stand was such a good show with a huge reaction.
Mm-hmm.
One Night Stand 2 was good, but it did not get the same energy.
It didn't have the same energy. I felt like it was a better overall show.
But then after that, like, I think they maybe did one more, or did they stop doing
No,
that?
they
that
did
point?
One Night
They did
Stand.
a revival.
They did
after that.
One Night Stand till about 2009,
And none of
and
them,
then it switched to Extreme Rules.
none of them matched the energy of that
Hell, I'm gonna
first
check
one.
and see if I'm right on that.
You know,
one.
so yeah, I feel bad for Double or Nothing too, because they're gonna be more critical of this one.
Yeah.
People aren't going into this going, oh, this is the best thing ever because it was the first time. You
Yeah.
can't redo the first time. Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot, except they can, I guess.
That said,
Statistically, it's unlikely.
the card looks amazing. That is this Saturday. Check it out.
Good
'cause
segue.
You can get it. I know, right? You can get it on the Bleacher Report live streaming service and other like cable providers. I think it is like $50.
Yeah.
But that said, like you said last week, like don't pirate this.
Do not pirate this show.
You know,
Jesus Christ.
This is a company that
They need it.
If you want there to be legitimate competition, then it needs to be successful.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm not. That said, like pool money and like watch it as a group, but just don't straight up pirate.
Yeah,
it.
carpool with TV, TV
But
pool.
matches
Deadpool.
are fresh off of their CCW appearance at Super Show. SoCal Uncensored will be taking on the OWE team Strong Hearts, Seema T-Hawk, and El Lindemann.
I feel bad for Vegas because I have it on good authority that Cape Girardeau was the worst city they've ever been in.
Yeah, Vegas can't top that.
So I don't know how you top
Bottom
that.
of that, I don't know how that goes. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. With the winner facing the Casino Battle Royale winner in a future AEW championship match.
So the reason I'm so excited about this because I thought their first match together in New Japan was good, but it wasn't great because it was a hardcore match. Like they did a lot of hardcore wrestling. I'm hoping this one is more of a standard match. I want to see them wrestle.
Yeah.
Like with less of the gimmicky stuff. Like I'm excited about that match.
Yeah. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Kylie Ray in a triple threat match. Cody versus Dustin Rhodes.
I'm excited about that one too.
The 21-man Casino Battle Royal. Again, whoever wins this will go on to face the winner of Jericho and Omega.
Which I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I know for a fact that my good buddy, because he said it in a promo, Glacier's in this match. So I'll let you know who I'm pulling for.
A bunch of people are in this match. We're not going to go through the whole list because
Glacier.
that's a lot. But including Ace Romero, Billy Gunn, Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy, MJF, Brian Pillman Jr.
So a lot of the people from the Battle Royal before.
Yeah, this one has its own unique weird rules. It's kind of like
It's Royal Rumble-esque.
it's Royal Rumble-esque, except 5 people come out at once. Except for 5 people start the match, and then it's 5 every time period, and then whoever got lucky 21.
Yeah.
It goes out solo last.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. Oh,
and
Jake
then
Roberts got 22.
Sean Spears is was the one that got announced today, I think.
Yesterday, because he had the 10 of diamonds.
Oh yeah. So
I know a couple people I hope are in it.
Mhm.
Keeping my fingers crossed.
Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. That's going to be ignorant.
My
That-
body is ready.
That one's
Yeah.
probably going to be pretty good.
As much like Chris Jericho is my favorite wrestler of all time. I've made no
I thought it was Kane.
qualms about that. Kane is my favorite character.
Okay.
And what got me into wrestling, and Kane will always have a soft spot, but Jericho, I think, is the best wrestler of all time.
Okay.
But this is the match I'm most looking forward to, is Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros. Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara, a 6-woman tag match, Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida, Ryo Abe, and Ryo Mizunami.
I know
I
a
probably
few-
got all of those wrong, but
I know a
tried.
couple of, because I know that match and a couple of them. Like I feel like that'll be a
Well, I
good
mean,
match.
And then-
Asia Kong, obviously. She is legendary.
And then the
wrestler.
the 9th match advertised so far is another tag match that I'm also very much looking forward to. Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans.
That's gonna be fun.
Part of me really, really hopes that I'm told who's the third in their trios. What's her name? Why can I not?
Is it Evilise?
Ivelisse. Part of me kind of hopes Ivelisse comes out.
I
Just
knew
for-
that, but I didn't want to say it.
She's a bastard.
First
that
name?
is-
No, you didn't.
Yeah, because that's my favorite setting for a Final Fantasy game. Evilise.
Well, you knew the name, but you
Jesus.
didn't know that was the third. Admit it right now. You lying?
No, it is my favorite setting.
Oh, you! I'm gonna slap him.
Final Fantasy Tactics and 12 are both great
I'm
games.
gonna slap you.
I'm gonna deep throat this microphone for you.
I hate that you did that quietly. What are you looking up, Asa?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Asa to talk.
Yeah, but
That's all.
Daddy,
Oh.
please.
I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to transition to either
right.
CCW. Well, yeah, CCW.
Yeah, last thing before we get out of here. We had CCW over the weekend. It was May Mayhem. Let's start off by being honest with ourselves. This was the smallest crowd we've ever had.
Yep.
A lot of things to blame for this. The air show was happening, and then we're not one to make excuses. I will never get on here and lie for CCW because even though I do work for CCW and I love them, I'm a journalist first, so I will be honest with you. This is Pro Wrestling Unscripted. It was a small crowd, but I do blame that on a number of things. The air show happened. 10,000 people was drawn into that air show, myself included. I wanted to skip the show and go watch the whirly birds go fly, but I went in and I did my thing. We also had baseball. We had Double or Nothing next week. So it was a big thing. It was a small crowd, but I want to give props to that crowd.
Yeah, that was something that I was going to bring
They
up. It's
were
like, I don't know
loud crowd.
if it's
Good
something
crowd.
that we're so, like. It was as loud as like any other crowd that we've had.
Yeah.
Like because that could have been like going out and seeing how many people were there was just like, oh, okay,
This could be
Like,
crickets.
this could be rough, and it wasn't. So if you're listening to this and you were there, thank you.
Yeah, you did
because
great.
you were clearly cheering.
Yeah.
Because there was
you-
not a quiet person. Because that's the great thing of like, because it was, I think Ken even mentioned of like, these were our CCW diehards.
Yep.
And like legit, like there would be no CCW without
These guys.
everyone that was there in May,
Yeah.
like at May Mayhem.
We had a couple of new fans that came for the first time that I know for sure because they came in the store and mentioned it, and they were loud. Everybody was loud. Like it was such a good crowd.
Yeah.
You guys really turned what could have been a terrible show into a good show.
Right. Because a crowd can make or break a good show.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the smallest CCW crowd we have is still way larger than some of the small crowds I've been in front of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not like 12 people showed up or anything like that.
Right.
Like there are companies across the world, like across America right now, that would kill
For
to
30, 40, 50 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to kill for the number of people that we brought in. Because I even asked Ken, I was like, hey, so like, of all the people that are here, like seated at like, not, working tables or anything, like of all the fans, like how many tickets did you comp? And he's like, none. Like this, like everyone who was there paid. Because there are, you hear stories of other shows that's like, yeah, they brought in 80 people, but 50 of them were,
Give it.
Like, giving out
it's
tickets or
your
comp
paid,
tickets.
It's your paid number you have to worry about.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So even though it was a small crowd, and I've seen matches where like big names have, like I've seen big names wrestle in front of 20 people.
Mhm.
It's crazy because I always thought if you don't have 200 people, because CCW is used to pulling in 200 to 500 people per show, and I always thought like if you don't have that, well, you're done. But no, like there are promotions all around that do less than that and are successful. And I think that's a testament to the fans and to the workers. And we have the best of both.
That was the other thing that I was going to point out is like, even though, because it especially when you're used to going out there in front of, you know, a normal CCW crowd versus what we had on Saturday, like, and especially to like Ethan Page, who was there.
Yeah.
Like, how easy would it have been to stuck your head out of that curtain, saw how many people were there, and be like,
fuck it.
Yeah, I'm not doing much.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to do anything. Everyone, like, went out there and busted their ass.
They did. Logan made his singles debut and worked hard as hell. Austin is always great. Really proud of Damone for him and Justin both for bringing fire and intensity. I know that's a joke, but I meant it as a serious thing because I as much as I love Damone, I've never seen Damone as intense as he's been since this started, this feud, and I've never seen Justin as happy as he was on Saturday. So it was nice to see them both different.
This is the first time that, like, at least at CCW, that Damone's really had something to truly, like, sink his teeth into. Yeah, because it's, you know, it's...
And he's making it his own. I'm very proud of him in that sense. The show top to bottom was great. Ethan Page, like you said, was amazing.
That match was
great.
bonkers.
And we all know how incredible Jackson is, both as a wrestler and as a person, because he's one of the nicest men you'll ever meet.
No, I love Jonathan, but he's a jerk to me half the time.
It really shocked
That's because
me.
it's you.
That's true. Just that pheromone. It really shocked me about how polite and kind Ethan Page was. Like Asa said, if you're a big star and you show up at a place that has 60, 70 people out there, you could easily just go, oh, well, fuck this place. Bare minimum, don't talk to me. But he was cordial. We had conversation backstage. I bought him a drink. Ask him. He'll remember it. I still have the quarter he gave me. And trying to remember everybody else that had. Billy and Hollis had their blindfold match, which had to be terrifying, and they made a blindfold match. Fun.
It was so much fun,
Yeah.
but for me it was a nightmare because there was so much like.
How do you call that?
Exactly, because there's so much time of them like trying to search for their opponent,
yeah.
and it was funny, and the crowd was into it, and it was great. But like from a commentary point, it was
Nightmare fuel.
not even nightmare. Like not nightmares is way too strong of a word, but it was a new challenge
Yeah.
for sure. And I think me and Ken both were kind of like, oh, we clearly did not realize, like, oh yeah, it's a blindfold match. Oh wait, how do blindfold matches work? Like, what is the setup to
You
those
just thought they'd
matches?
have blindfolds on and they'd wrestle. Like normal.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think of the fact that, like, oh yeah, because I'm an idiot. So that was an interesting match, and hopefully it comes out well.
It was also really nice to have so much new blood on the card because there's a lot of new blood on the card. Trent Daniels, our friend Trindle, he had a match against Jake, which... God, hearing them go over the match backstage when Jason's just like, just, whatever you want to do, just, and Jake's like, all right, choke slam. And he's going over and I'm looking at Trindle. I pat him on the shoulder. I'm like, bye. Good luck with that.
Also, just shout out to Jake, because I talked to him a little bit before the show and asked his advice because I'm going to that seminar in July. And I was just like, hey, so you work for this company? I've never been there. Like, what do you, like, is there anything I should or shouldn't do? Because I've never been in a locker room aside from CCW's, and I want to make sure I'm not like
sucking it up.
Yeah, like, well, yeah, I don't want to be like a huge like asshole and people be like, oh, who is this guy? And like
we'll never invite him
like,
back.
He talked to me for like 10 minutes, and he did not have to, and he was like just super cool. And
Jake
so
is one of the nicest guys.
Oh yeah, he's always
everybody top to bottom, top to bottom. I don't want to leave any matches out because Trindle had his match. Slammer, it was good seeing Slammer get a match.
I was really proud of Slammer.
Is there people? Okay. Okay. Slammer had his match. He teamed up with Leo D.
Yeah.
Gotta get that right. The People's Prince, Leo D, one of our favorite people, to go up against Dalton and another debut in CCW, Heath Hatton.
Yeah.
From we know of course from Stride, and that was an incredible match. And Asa came to me, one of my proudest moments as a person. Asa came to me after the fact and said it was good to hear Dalton's pop when he went out. To hear that crowd react to you was a good feeling. I didn't get to hear it as much, unfortunately, but I agree with them. That is really nice to hear that you got a great reaction. And I never doubted you for a moment.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those.
You doubt you. We don't.
I was super proud of that match as a whole, because not just because of me, but Slammer was one of those people that I started training with Slammer. Like, he worked for a company, and I think he's even been the one that's saying it was a backyard wrestling company with a ring. So, whenever he came in, that was his number one, whenever Barbed Wire asked us what do we want out of this, and
Right.
whenever he asked me, I was like, I don't know, because I'm super always forethinking and thinking what would look good on saying something. No, I'm not. I said I don't know, and then Slammer said I want one good match, and he's gotten 2 good matches.
2 good matches.
Yeah.
He had a really good match with Austin Lane that I'm super proud of him for, and this tag match that like there was a lot of moving parts, and for what that match ended up being, it would have been really easy for both Leo and for Slammer to not care about it because
The story was on you.
the story was on me and Heath.
Yeah.
But they gave it their all. Leo's
too good. He's
Yeah,
too good.
I told
I was like, we were the first thing he did when he came, because like we're buddies. He came up to me and he started asking me like what we wanted to do and stuff like that. And we were both going over like he was just as concerned with getting my stuff in as he was getting his.
Right.
And Slammer was just as concerned about getting my stuff in as he was his, and vice versa to him. And then you get Heath, which like that's the number one thing that that's the one thing that Tyler told me. That's the most important thing in the wrestling is it's what your job is, and your job is to get the other guy over. And that's something that he's literally always told me, and that's one thing that every person in that tag match was worried about, was getting the other person over.
Selfless.
Yeah, and that was like the Leo and Slammer didn't have to worry about that. They didn't have to, but they did.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make sure that all of Leo's moves looked devastating. I wanted to make sure that leg drop that Slammer gave me looked like it almost murdered me.
Even though you kicked out.
Well, that was because that's what I was told to do. And then you have Heath, I think he's been doing this longer than all 3 of the people in the ring
Heath
put
is
together.
Heath. The most devastating spear known to man.
I really want to see like that. Like I don't take this as a knock against you, but I really, after that tag match, I really want to see like a longer form match between Leo and Heath.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking that when they were in the ring together, because like whenever, and this is just kind of how it works right now with where I'm at, like I'll go in there and if I call anything, I'll call it really quick and that's it. Where like whenever Heath got in there with Leo, it was very much we'll just work it out until we get to where the spots we want to get to. And there was like 4 or 5 things that I didn't know was going to happen. And I was like, oh, this is what good people are like.
Apparently, and I won't. That might be a little too, but
yeah,
I think from what Kyle mentioned is Heath enjoyed working with him as well. Like,
and he was, and I could
because I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the show because
he went straight to go watch John Wick 3.
Oh, why is he so
Smart man.
perfect?
Because that's what he told me. He was like, "Hey Dalton, I'm leaving. I'm going to go watch John Wick 3." I was like, "Oh, have a fun time."
I
and talk to Ace afterwards.
I shot him a message and just told him like, "Hey, it was good to see him. Like, super glad you're finally at CCW." Because I would have told him like, I really wanted to see you and Leo work more together.
Which I'm sure he knows, and hopefully we will see because hopefully Heath will be back in the future. It was a good show all around. Also, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And by time, I mean battery.
Yeah.
So really quick, I also want to give a shout out to Dexter Roswell, who always puts in an amazing show. Dexter is one of the best looks in CCW for sure. Deacon Cash, new guy. Actually,
Super cool dude.
We were messing around in the ring. We were playing around in the ring like boys do. And this gentleman comes up and he
Look
asked
at
me
the
where Jason
adjective.
is. And I had no idea who he was. I'm like, oh, I'm Shannon. What can we do for you? And then I saw him later getting dressed because SB couldn't make it. SB had some things, and Deacon took his spot. And Deacon was really good. Very nice backstage. I hope we see more of him in CCW. Yep. He was very cool. Joey and Brandon are obviously Joey and Brandon. All you have to say about them is they showed up and are good.
Joey, in the middle of the match, threw his shirt like out of the ring, and it flew right past my head. And I didn't move, and he looked at me and was like, sorry, but I gave you a cool shot.
It's a 3D effect. 3D effect.
That sounds like Joey.
Last thing, and we really do have to get out of here. We had 2 big returns. Blaster came back.
That made me happy.
And I love seeing him. Like, I
he's
jokingly
he's the nicest dude.
I jokingly said on the mic, like, the only reason you were popular is because of us. I said me, but I meant us. But in reality, he is so good and just such a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that he is back. I hope he's listening
yeah.
to this. I want him to know that. And then the biggest surprise, and actually a page out of my fucking nightmare, was
I will tell that story after he says it.
Matthias charging the ring because Jason said Brandon's going to come out. True story. Jason said Brandon's going to come out. he's going to get in the ring. He's going to like grab you by the neck or the tie. And then you're going to like back off. And then Durden is going to pull your legs out and pull you out to safety. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm thinking like, why is Brandon coming out? He's doing the tag thing. Is he dropping the titles already? So we're in the ring. We do our thing with Blaster. I hear the crowd start to react. I look back for Brandon. It's goddamn Matthias charging the ring. No shit.
Like a bat out of hell.
All of my script went out of my head, and my instinct was get out of the ring as fast as possible. So I bailed. It wasn't until later that night, I'm about to go to bed, and I just randomly go, oh shit, he was supposed to grab me.
So I was backstage because that was fairly quick after my match, so I was like still getting out of my gear and stuff, and I see Roger run, and I'm like, oh shit, that was Roger. That's cool. And then Shayna comes out and was like, she wants to know a page out of my fucking nightmare. He uses that exact same line, to which I fell out because that was like
everyone back there that was watching the monitor just starts bursting laughter. And Jace was like, oh, I forgot to tell you about that. Fuck you. All right. We got to get out of here. Point is, it was a great show. And next show is going to be June 22nd.
Yep.
Yes.
Which is 2 days after I move. So that's going to be fun. And that is going to be Inferno 3. We're working on the poster right now. I want to give a shout out to Caleb Carter, who has been making some really awesome.
his matchup.
The match graphics.
The art
Those
is
are
great.
fucking great.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
I hope he keeps those up. I really love those. And I am working on the official poster for it. And that was a lot of fun. By the way, thank you. If you bought one of the May Mayhem posters, thank you. I was
They
very,
looked awesome. Those May Mayhem.
so proud of that.
Gonna have to steal one from over there.
So proud. You can have one because you are talent, and I love you. Although Joey had to pay $2.
who you made to
apparently.
pay $2?
Joey O'Reilly.
I was like, your face is on this. You should buy one. He was like, my face is on. You should just give me one. I was like, how about $2? He was like, I can do that.
You dick. I'm taking one.
Wheeling and dealing alley. All right. Let's get out of here. Asa, really quick, hit us with those links.
Facebook.com/Podzilla1985, Twitter.com/Podzilla1985. I will tweet again, I promise. Podzilla1985.com and Patreon.com/Podzilla1985. 1985.
Does it like a pro. He's so good at it. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow with After Dark. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until then, we will see you there. That made no sense. Have a good night. Later.